there's been a disturbance in the warp, or rather, Games Workshop is doing things again, especially in regards to copyright. I was sent this. I definitely want to review it as it does pertain to Warhammer 40k things. Games Workshop attacks unmonetized fan art by Janovich. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Okay.
Hello there viewers, once again another video to inform people about even more damage that Games Workshop is currently doing to its own fanbase. And this time it's just straight up illegal, trust me, it gets really bad.
That is a very big claim to make, and I want to see that substantiated.
On April 5th, I found out that Games Workshop had issued a copyright strike against several of my 3D assets that are freely available to anyone on Sketchfab. So now, not only are my animations at risk of being copyright striked at any moment, my public 3D assets are as well. There's loads of assets removed from other creators as well, as I will cover in this video. Just to be clear about this, the 3D models that were taken down were not in any way suitable for 3D printing, so do not compete with Games Workshop miniature business in any way. It would be quite difficult and frankly pointless to try and convert these to 3D printable STLs, when there are much better files for that purpose out there already on different websites like Cult 3D.
So, I think that quality is unfortunately a non-issue here, where as far as quality is concerned, like, so for example, I could draw a recognizable, right, obviously, a really poorly drawn image or poorly made image of Titus from Space Marine 2, right? But you could tell it's Titus. I'm pretty sure that Games Workshop could still flex their muscles against that. Now, is it necessarily worth their time? Do they view it as something that is going to infringe on their copyright in a way that is substantial enough that they're going to do that? Probably not. But it comes down to like letter of the law versus spirit of the law, right? If I am doing something with an IP that is not my own, and the copyright holder is like, okay, but I don't want this, technically I am still in the wrong, right? It's like, and that's where you get into, if you like Pokemon fan games, technically they are infringing upon Nintendo and Pokemon's copyright. However, you do see like during the Pal World situation where dude was like just selling assets ripped from Sun and Moon. Obviously, that garners attention because that's Nintendo coming down on, you're literally selling assets that don't belong to you. You aren't literally infringing on our copyright and trying to profit off of it.
Before we get into the legal stuff, I will first illustrate why striking down these kinds of 3D models is so extremely damaging to the community. When I finish a fan project, I share many of my 3D models on Sketchfab for free. These often have thousands of downloads, and it's been super cool to see other people use these in their own projects too. I've mostly seen them used for Warhammer game mods, but also in animations and other fan works as well. I've always thought this was super cool and a nice way for me to give something back to the community. So now let me explain why you should care. We all know Luton09. He's by far the most popular Warhammer lore channel on YouTube.
If I remember correctly, Luton does not want reactions. I'd have to have somebody substantiate that in the comment section. But for those interested, I have heard Luton does not like reactions. Therefore, I will not be putting out a Luton reaction. You know, just making sure we're respecting creators if that is their wish and no reactions.
He makes a new video, he looks around the internet for nice artwork. For this latest Siege of Frags Part 2 episode, he used this great looking artwork in his thumbnail that was made by Mark Therese, who shared it publicly on his ArtStation account. But hey, would you look at that? I immediately recognize a lot of details that make me absolutely certain that he used my Dev Corps of Greek model that is available on Sketchfab as a direct reference. The specific proportions of the helmet, the shovel holster, the backpack and the lasgun are just too similar for it to be a coincidence. I think that's super cool. He didn't credit me, he doesn't have to, that's fine. I'm just happy to see it being put to good use. Again, this is
generally you should be crediting, though, if you are using another person's model as a base, the correct thing, the actual like decor, like the actual proper decorum is to credit somebody else. Now, obviously, that gets into plausible deniability. That gets into if it was used, if it was used, if it wasn't used, if it was used in reference, or if it was used in more than just reference, right? Like, there's a number of things that get involved there. If I were to use somebody's art, right, and I were to make something derivative of that, I should be crediting the original person, or at least shouting out the original person.
Not about me taking credit. This is to illustrate to you how this fan creator ecosystem functions and how sharing these 3D assets is beneficial to the wider community to the point it triggers all the way up to someone like Lewitton. This is clearly not just one isolated example. I could go on about how my stuff shows up in a lot of other content by Lewitton and other creators as well, but I think you get the point. Like I said at the start of the video, it's not just my models that were taken down. A friend of mine named Cyback, who is the creator of the Steel Covenant animation on YouTube also had a total of 7 vehicles and characters assets removed. For full transparency, I will admit that I did have various donation links in the description of these items, and in Cyber's case there was a single link to his Ko-Fi page. However, I can prove that they also remove fan art when there's absolutely no monetization or other incentive involved.
But that's the thing though, if you have a Ko-Fi link, or if you have like if you can download the assets for free, but there is a donation option, is that not how people get away with mods in like the Skyrim community and stuff? We're like, oh yeah, we're gonna sell you this mod, but like, sure, or they'll have like, well, you're gonna pay to access our Discord. Oh, but the mods are free now. Isn't that like the legal way to like circumvent that? I'd have to have a lawyer chime in on that. But like, as far as I'm aware, that's pretty standard practice.
The new 4639 had all of his 3D assets copyright struck all the way back in February 2025. He is not a YouTuber, he does not make animations, he doesn't have any links for donations, Patreon or anything. By now you know I'm not just talking out of my ass, I've made extra sure to confirm this is from the direct source, because if it's true, then that means Games Workshop will strike at unmonetized fan art. And yes, it is absolutely true of course. And we don't even know how many other people had their fan art removed as well, because without videos like these, nobody would ever know about it. In my opinion, things are really fucking bad right now. Much worse than most people think. What's going on now is actually more ruthless than what was happening during the Warhammer Plus debacle. Back then, we sort of assumed that they only went after monetized fan animations. I would have never thought they would go after unmonetized content or parody. This sentiment was widely shared amongst the community, and you can still often read people commenting that they don't approve of what Games Workshop is doing, but tell you that as long as you are not monetizing your content itself,
well, and that's the thing, though. Well, we don't approve what Game Workshop's doing, but you're still buying like 5,000 points of like Krieg. You're still buying like 3,000 points of Custodes, especially from Forge World, right? The Forge World resin models, right? Like, and this is why I don't identify as a 40k fan. Sure, I have like 4 to 5,000 points of Eldari, right? I got my Wraith Knights. I went on Amazon. I had to go buy my my Fuegan and Lexus, whatever his name is, the Warp Spider Phoenix Lord, because like they finally showed up. Because for some reason they haven't been available since launch. Like I literally just yesterday was able to find them on Amazon. I literally 2 days ago found two Fire Dragons. I don't know if they're just underprinting stuff. I don't know. I don't know if it's distribution. I don't know what it is about it. But I don't really consider myself a fan, because to me, any of the 3 criteria that I personally would need to hit, I would have had to been around since first edition of Warhammer 40k, which I have not. I would have to take a very large tournament such as Worlds, which I have not, or I would have to have read every single lore excerpt, every single codex, and every single entry to understand the universe in its entirety, which I have not. Now, if you have not and you consider yourself a fan, that's fine. Go for it. These are my criteria to even remotely consider myself a quote-unquote fan of 40k, to which I still have fans of 40k going something, Adeptus Custodes, Femstodes, something, Eldari change, and I don't want to associate with it. I don't. I'm here to play the game. I'm here to enjoy the medium. But, like, the community is just, it's so strange. And I don't meet these people IRL. I go to an LGS, I go to a game shop, I go to a Warhammer store, and everyone's just so chill. I have never had an experience IRL, and I'm sure people have, where I have met the kind of person that goes, the tourists like you are what's ruining 40k. We'll take care of it ourselves, and have a very cult-like comments that they leave. It's very cultish. I've never had that IRL. So I wonder, I don't know. It's the 40k fandom confuses me. The good side of it, I absolutely love, but I'm also not going to devalue them, because there are people who have been around since first edition. There are people who have taken tournaments like regionals and worlds. There are people who have read all of these the things, right? They've read all of the lore entries. They've read all of the codexes. They understand the universe. They should have the ability to be like, hi, yes, we are the fans. So I don't know. Like, Games Workshop is interesting in itself, and it's actually why I don't want to do a lot of 40k stuff anymore, at least on YouTube, because it's like, I don't know if I react to a Bricky video, is that going to get struck? Is Bricky going to get struck? If I were to film a video of me putting together Fire Dragons, am I going to get caught? Well, technically you're building the official product. You know what? At this point, I need concrete, like, actual, like, statement from Games Workshop saying you are fine building official and painting official product on stream, because I don't know. This is what Games Workshop effectively at this point is sowing. There is confusion. there is a lack of understanding, there is a lack of communication, and it seems like they're hitting certain things and they're pushing the envelope further and further to, at a certain point, if I put out a video and it's monetized, or even if it's unmonetized, of me putting together, say, an Eldari Wraith Knight, which I spent 168 USD on, am I going to get copyrighted? I feel like that is 100% a thing I propose to Games Workshop at this point. Oh, that's ridiculous. You would never get copyrighted. You know what? Clearly, though, there's an issue, Games Workshop. Clearly, there's uncertainty. Clearly, I am using your product, your IP, without your express authorization or consent. Is that not what's happening here? So, yeah. Games Workshop, something universe, but you're still spending money on, 10,000 points of whatever, right? Like there's a paradox here, and that's why Games Workshop is able to do things like this, because they could retcon orcs tomorrow to say, well, they're not psychers, it's just magic or something like that, and maybe tie it to like old world or fantasy, right? And people would just be like, oh, I'm sure they'd be up in arms about it, because orcs being psychers, right? Like innate psychers, and that's why, the car's not out of gas, therefore the car has gas in it, right? They can make a change like that, and people would still buy orcs. People will still give them money. That's how that works. Like, you can't criticize the thing and then just buy the thing, because then you're just like, okay, it's voting with your dollar logic. I'm going to move on.
You are safe. Unfortunately, this is wrong. I can irrefutably prove that it is wrong. This is not even about fan animations anymore. The implications of that are really, really bad for the entire Warhammer community. Let's take a look at Games Workshop's own intellectual property guidelines as can be found on their website.
I'm ready.
I know technically this doesn't really apply to fan animations, or these are in their zero tolerance.
Not include artwork or imagery copied from any official Games Workshop material. This is going to make sense in a second. We're going to take out my snipping tool. We're going to take this. If Google wants to load, I'm sorry, give me a second here. We're going to take that. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. I am now in violation of this guideline. I am now 100% in violation of step 1, because this is a copy, artwork or imagery. This is the official box of the Eldari Wraith Knight, copied from the official Games Workshop material. This is a copy of this. I am in violation of number 1. Do you see how this is damaging to a community? 100%. To be non-commercial with no money being received or pay, money received or pay. This includes all forms of videos monetized, streams monetized, right? I'm in violation of number 2. Just with this. Not be publicly distributed except for no charge digital distribution. Pretty sure if somebody sends something to my Ko-fi link, pretty sure I'm in violation of this as well. I receive advertiser revenue. I'm in violation of number 3. Make it clear that they're unofficial without using any Games Workshop logos. I mean, I'm not in any way, shape, or form related to, sponsored with, affiliated, partnered with, or anything with Games Workshop, right? So that's pretty clear. But that being said, clearly it's using Games Workshop's logos, clearly using the Warhammer icon, to which, I mean, I could go find another Wraith Knight from the actual codex and be in violation of number 4 as well. Not be prejudicial to goodwill, reputation, or integrity of Game Workshop or its intellectual property. I don't know what you consider this, but I'm in violation as far as I'm aware of all 5 points on this. By just copying the image and showing it. Is that not how that works? Please, legal professionals, chime in on this. Games Workshop, chime in on this. Because this is the precedent you have set for your fan base.
Category, but the 3D models are not in the zero tolerance category, so it makes sense that their fan artwork policies should apply to them as usual. Here it goes. Individuals may create their own artwork, drawings and designs based on our characters and settings, but these must 1. Not include artwork or imagery copied from any official Games Workshop material. 2. Be non-commercial, with no money being received or...
I have a VTuber model on screen. I am reacting to this in a transformative capacity. I would classify this as art from a legal definition. This is not Games Workshop affiliated. This is not Game Workshop supported. This is not Game Workshop partner sponsored, right? We're not partnered or affiliated. This is transformative in a form of art, right? Using official Game Workshop product. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do this really quick then. Just to seal the deal on this, because this actually really upsets me. Wraith Lord. I'm pretty sure the Codex had a Wraith Lord on it. Okay, so this is from the official wiki, right? So this is clearly Games Workshop, right? This is clearly product that they have, right? Oh, but it doesn't have the logo on it. It doesn't have the logo on it. It should be fine, right? Like reasonably, this should be fine. No, I'm in violation of these policies. We've done this. This is an awful precedent to set.
This includes all forms of fundraising activity and generation of any advertising revenue. 3. Not be publicly distributed except for no-charge digital distribution. 4. Make it clear that they are unofficial without using any Games Workshop logos. 5. Not be prejudicial to the goodwill, reputation or integrity of Games Workshop or its intellectual property. These models were not ripped game assets, scans or anything else directly copied from a Games Workshop product. They are made from scratch by the creators themselves. They are not monetized or in any way commercial. They do not generate any advertising revenue. There is no implication that these are official models by Games Workshop, and specifically mention they are only made for personal projects. And yeah, I'm not even gonna bother with the final point because Games Workshop doesn't have any goodwill or reputation whatsoever anyway. We just confirmed.
I love that people will say you're a true Games Workshop fan when you hate Games Workshop. Why did you... I want to stress enough. I cannot stress this enough. The Games Workshop store that I go to was allocated 3 Fire Dragons to put on the shelf at launch. Do you know how many they received? 0. How does that happen?
That the removal of these 3D models goes against their very own fan art policies, as can be found on their own website. They are just straight up attacking fan art that is compliant with their own intellectual property guidelines. How insane is that? So what is the next step? Attacking lore videos? Despite what many people like to believe, these are not safe anymore, and perhaps they've never been safe. Most lore...
No, and this is he's absolutely correct. There's so much confusion, and even with the paradoxical... so the actions are paradoxical to their own document, right? We need Warhammer, 40K, Games Workshop. I know you have a legal team on retainer. Get them to draft something. Get them to draft a document or documents explaining things in excruciating detail. People will read through the legalese there to understand what isn't acceptable. And obviously they have to be vague because legality, something comes down the line. Say, for example, AI generated something, right? And I'm sure that they're going to have an issue with that, right? Despite there being currently, AI is in such a weird place in regards to generated artwork. And that's why I'm watching like the Ghibli situation very closely, because copyright and AI don't mix very well. You cannot copyright AI work. So this leads into interesting interactions of, if I were to generate, I don't know, an Adeptus Custodia or an Eldari Wraith Knight or a Wraith Lord and put a AI generated, so it's off slightly, it's Uncanny Valley, Warhammer logo next to it, is that technically copyrightable? That's what's being argued legally. This is in courtrooms. Like there are things that are happening. Can Ghibli, right? Studio Ghibli, can they come down on AI generated Studio Ghibli artwork? In my opinion, they should be able to, but that's a subjective opinion with no legal backing.
YouTubers have always used tons of official artwork in their videos and thumbnails and are heavily monetized. They have Patreons, they have ad revenue. So from the perspective of Games Workshop's own policies, they are even more infringing on their IP than these 3D models were. Warhammer Plus has been making their own lore content, so it's direct competition. Don't be surprised.
I'm not spending a sub on Warhammer TV. You have not justified what is the value proposition, right? When you're dealing with business value proposition, my value proposition to you is that you do get some sort of parasocial experience with a cringe anime boy on the internet, being able to watch and react to things and live and be able to have that kind of interaction, right? That's the value proposition. Watching a value proposition by someone like Bricky is, hi, this person actively plays 40K and they're pretty knowledgeable about it. Sure, maybe they miss certain things, like his first Xenos Armies Explained. The Eldari Soulstones weren't mentioned as far as I'm aware, but for all intents and purposes, he covered the majority of the material, right? Value proposition, you have someone who's clearly reliable, who clearly is well-researched, who clearly has put together a fairly decent presentation as far as a surface-level overview of it, and who is honestly just such a cool dude from everything I've seen of Bricky, and thus, you get to watch good content. That's the value proposition. What's my value proposition watching Warhammer 40K TV? Oh, well, this is official lore. Okay, I can just have somebody tell me what the thing was. You have not interested me. Now, if we had something like Blur Studios, right? An actual full-on series of Blur Studios doing the, whatever the Amazon thing was with Titus. I can't remember what it's called right now. And that was an entire series. Okay. maybe you have my interest at this point, especially in a day and age where everyone and their dog has a streaming service. What is your value proposition? Something like Netflix's value proposition. You have access to our extensive library, and then you can allegedly use VPNs to try and gain access to things that aren't, are locked in your region. Allegedly, of course. That's the value proposition. The value proposition of something like Crunchyroll, aside from apparently password leaks, allegedly, is that, cool, you have a place for anime. The value proposition for things like, I don't know, remember the Legend of Zelda TV series was a thing that was coming to Netflix? Cool. The value proposition is you get to watch the funny Legend of Zelda series on Netflix, and then obviously it never comes out, right? But like, what is the value proposition here? Now you're supporting an official Games Workshop product to be able to watch series that may or may not be interesting? Hard pass.
When Lord channels will be attacked next. Seriously, people need to wake up to the fact that Games Workshop is on a second wave of attack against fan creators. We thought that they had learned their lesson 4 years ago, but they have not, and this is only going to get much worse. Think about it. After all this shit they pulled with Warhammer Plus, there was a massive boycott. To this very day, 4 years later, you can still find people making comments that they will never ever again buy another Games Workshop product because of what they did. And what did Games Workshop do? They laid low for a little bit until they hoped we all forgot about it and started destroying the community from the bottom up by going after small content creators in the hopes that would.
Small content creators seem to be in the crosshairs, I've noticed. It seems like, especially in terms of copyright, it seems like it, because I've received, and this is going to be like a knock on wood moment, I've received less BS bogus copyright claims. So there was a recent reaction to Soviet Womble that I did, his Arma video. Sorry, not his Arma video. His SWAT 4 video, his SWAT 4 Ready or Not video. And there's a chunk missing because I got a valid copyright claim. As it turns out, I'm not inherently against the nature of copyright. As it turns out, like, if you have a valid claim, sure. I'm sorry for stepping on your toes. Thank you for not issuing me a copyright strike. I will address the issue, and that's why there's a section that's muted or heavily or distorted, right? Naruto Storm Connections, right? Had the anime packs on when I did some just free battles, and I got copyrighted by the studio for using an anime opening. Yeah, hey, my bad. Thank you for not bringing down the hammer. I will address the issue. I'm inherently not against copyright. Like, I understand that you should be able to, if you have a brand such as Warhammer, right? People shouldn't be able to use your logo as Warhammer to try and sell a fraudulent product. That just makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, you can't abuse it. Because if you abuse it, that's how you end up in people's bad graces. That's how you get people like this. This is exactly why I've never bought it and will buy anything from Games Workshop. Just... Maybe don't say you do the funny pew with all the audiobooks and stuff. Maybe don't telegraph that. But like, this is what you create when the system is allegedly being abused, right? I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what? I'm more than okay just buying the minis I need off Amazon at this point.
Not notice. They literally don't care about any boycott. Their stock prices have recovered and are higher than ever before. They probably think it's all worth it. From their perspective, if they lose every single Warhammer fan right now, that wouldn't even be a bad thing. They are trying to get rid of all the old lore and all the old fans. They want to get rid of all competition, then reform and sanitize the franchise and become mainstream, because that will earn them back everything and more. The least we can do right now is warn people about what's happening. When people's favorite channels and content suddenly starts disappearing, they should at least know why. New fans of the setting should...
No, they shouldn't know why. If they are unable to understand... Like, if I put out a video tomorrow, and it was a hyper-polarizing political and geo-economic video, right? And people just said, nah, F this Kip guy, and then walk out, I clearly know what that was. My metrics will also showcase, hi, I released this very controversial video on this day, and people stopped watching me because of this. Or a post gets ratioed into the ground because it's an L take. I understand the cause and effect because I have basic common sense and critical thinking skills. No, if they cannot understand why trends like this are happening, why? Why should we spell it out to them? Why should anybody spell it out to them?
Know that this company hates its own fandom.
They do, apparently.
Workshop should know that we want to just let them get away with their illegal copyright takedown abuse by striking down fan art that is literally compliant with their very own fan art policies. It's their IP. If they are so hellbent on burning it to the ground, they can do so for all I care. But I'll make damn sure everybody knows what they're doing. And in order for anything to change, no matter how small, someone has to be willing to make some noise about it. Leave your comment below the video to let everybody know what you think. write an email to Games Workshop legal team, and if you're another content creator, react to this video and cover it in your own way so that the wider Warhammer community knows what's going on.
100%. And I recommend absolutely, in the description down below, I've left a link to his channel and this original video.
Thanks for watching this video.
So, yeah, I'm perfectly okay covering this. Like, look, I might not identify as a 40k fan because, as I said, I have not taken a major tournament. I have not read every single lore bit and understood the universe at a very fundamental level, right? And I haven't even painted my models. That's a whole thing about me wanting to move this year and just lack of time and stuff like that. But like, I haven't. What have I done to make myself a fan? So thus, I don't identify as a fan, right? I don't hit any of my points. If you do, sure, that's fine. I'm not gonna identify as what you want. I don't care. But I will still help out in what ways that I feel are necessary. I will help out in what ways that I feel I can, because this is egregious. At minimum, if Games Workshop wants to take this legal action, I believe its constituents, customers, right, deserve to know why. Why is this a thing? Why is this apparently going against the community policy at this point? And so, yeah, as it turns out, I am in violation of this community policy, at least as it stands, and I'm actually reaching out to somebody right now to verify with the clauses. As far as I'm aware, I'm in violation of their policies right now for screenshotting this. Whoever did this artwork, though, excellent job. I absolutely love your work. That you deserve to be recognized. But we also see, like, Wizard of the Coast is in some hot water recently as well, because Wizard of the Coast, something mod for, I think it was Stardew Valley with Baldur's Gate, and then they got insane backlash. So, look, I enjoy the universe of 40k. You enjoy the universe of 40k. This has got to stop. This is when we say that, and I think it's half joking at times, that Games Workshop is hostile towards their own fan base. This does, even if it's complying with all IP and copyright laws, does feel like it's being hostile to the fan base. They need to have a community, because you need to have a community manager, right? Community manager, something, femstones exist, dropping it, Bricky saying something. Yeah, whatever. The delivery of it's pretty bad, right? But I mean, whatever. It's, talk to us. Talk to your fans. Build that rapport. It's not hard. I don't know, man. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you got something of value out of this. Definitely share that if you have somebody who'd be interested in this. I'd be very interested to see people. I don't think Legal Ego would cover, but something like there's a couple legal channels out there who I think would be very interested in covering something like this, especially because it has to do with copyright and has to do with YouTube specifically. And yeah, that is me from what small part of the internet I am. Games Workshop, get your legal team on retainer on this. I would very much like actual stack of papers outlining why this decision is a thing and why this is legitimate. I would read through that legalese. I would have a field day with that. But I digress. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.